All right. One, two, three. And we are live. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Degens for a Brighter Future. My name is Jorge, and we are here today with Damien from Moon Factor. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing very well, thank you.
Excellent.
Appreciate you having me.
And we're all also here with our resident Degen co-host, Gio. How are you today?
Amazing. How's it going?
Good. And for the audience, guess what? Now we have a theme song.
Welcome to DJs for a Brighter Future.
There we go.
Along with the degeneracy.
This is a high production quality stream, obviously. Wonderful. So, Damien, just want to say thank you so much for coming on. Before we begin, I want to make sure that everyone understands nothing we're about to discuss here is financial advice. Anything you do should be based on your own research. It's your responsibility. You're an adult. So anyways, I want to get right into it. So, Damien, Moon Factor is an extremely useful application to sift through microcap altcoins. I kind of wanted to know first, where did you kind of get your bearings in terms of software, and how did you end up getting into the crypto space as an investor, and maybe what got you inspired into making Moon Factor?
Sure, yeah. I guess I'll go way back then, about 12 to 15, probably more like 14, 15 years ago. I started web development. I started building websites for other people. I actually originally started trying to just figure out how to make money online. That was the ultimate goal. And I just fell into web development because it was quite easy to learn a few technical things and have people, build landing pages for people and that sort of thing. And then I enjoyed that for like 12 to 13 years, and then started to build my own software. And I think I wasted, that's a very difficult thing to do in itself anyway, to build your own products and your own SaaS, for example, and that kind of thing. So I was on that whole journey for the last probably 5 years. And then after about 4 years, I started looking into cryptocurrency. And I thought, yeah, it'd be a great thing to learn because it's another potential income stream. And if things don't work out with the business, it's just good to have your fingers in these different pies, so to speak. So I wanted to learn cryptocurrency. I wanted to learn more about trading and investing and that kind of thing. And I think naturally, just being a software developer, if you've got like an itch that you want to scratch, that was a perfect kind of thing. So I thought, right, well, let's see if I can build something to help me find, to help me with this particular strategy that I had for cryptocurrency. And the whole idea from the beginning, from when I first looked at it, was that I wanted to focus on the very low market cap coins because of the massive upside potential. That was the whole thing that got me interested, that really captivated me. Because I saw how Ethereum did actually move really quickly, and Bitcoin did when we started hitting those big bull runs. But even then, they slowed down quite a lot. And I thought, I don't really want my money in that for too long. I'd rather put it into something that may actually do a 10x or 100x over a matter of months, sometimes even weeks. So that was essentially what got me interested. And then, yeah, as I say, scratching my own itch, I just started to build things to see if any of it could help. And then I shared that with other people, and it's just kind of spiraled from there, I think.
That's awesome. So it seems like your primary motivation was kind of to bring a little bit of your technical knowledge, the things you try to trade, to the people as an option. So what you're saying is Moon Factor is specifically to dig into these microcap altcoins. What kind of information are you sifting through when you're looking into these microcaps?
It's a good question. There's a lot of information out there. That's one of the challenges, I think, of building something really useful for this, because you can pull data from just all kinds of sources. So I started with CoinGecko because they have like a lot of information on there already, and they've got a great API, which I think is just a fantastic service to the community, that they've allowed that API to be used by developers for free, as long as you attribute them and there's no like commercial thing on there. So I just thought, right, I'll use that. And then it was, I think CoinGecko have lists of the link associated social accounts, developer accounts, and there's all kinds of other things that they've collected. And I thought, right, well, what if I go to those sources and then I start pulling more information about those sources? So essentially, I'm trying to profile the social accounts, and I'm trying to profile the developer accounts and the GitHub accounts, and just keep going further and further to, with this goal of trying to surface, the better projects, trying to surface the people who are actually doing the work. And it is a lot of, it is a big challenge, like I say, because you can pull in data from just all kinds of places. At the moment, it's CoinGecko, Twitter, GitHub, Telegram. In the future, I would love to pull stuff from, for example, CoinMarketCap, DeFi Llama, Token Terminal even. There's all kinds of stuff that I could do there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely one of the challenges in crypto research is that it is very, 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 very overwhelming. Like, I have a hard time following the crazy amount of white papers, information in the news, macroeconomics, and then on top of that, all the different social media influencers for people that are trying to find those narratives and jump on them. I find microcaps even more challenging, and just for anyone watching, typically much more risky. So it's really nice that there's this tool where you can just encompass that information, get it in one source, and at least see information like who has the most Telegram users, how has the price been performing over the past few weeks or so. I think that information is valuable. So I very much appreciate that. My next question is, obviously, you sifted through several applications. I'm sure you had to look at other websites that were providing research tools. For our viewers, I was curious, what are some of the research tools you've used in the past and maybe are still using?
Okay, I would say some of my favorites. Token Sniffer was a good inspiration early on. That's for very early projects. So they're typically projects that have been listed only on decentralized exchanges. Now, I do actually have a section in Moonfactor for this called Pair Explorer, which is where I'm pulling logs from nodes, from different blockchain nodes. It's mostly just Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain at the minute. And Token Sniffer is a way of evaluating the contracts, and we did also expand this so that it evaluates all other kinds of things like the wallet distribution and that kind of thing. Token Sniffer is absolutely number one if I'm looking into very early contracts and projects that have just been listed in the last, let's say, week or 2 weeks on a decentralized exchange. Because as you said, there's not much really tools for that kind of thing. I think KuCoin as well had something there, which is a silly website, but I quite like that for exploring Binance Smart Chain pairs. But I feel like Dex Screener is probably the one to watch at the moment, and I'm fascinated by what the developers managed to do with nothing, but donations and he's just pumping out feature after feature, and just the support. I don't know how many exchanges, almost all of the exchanges on all of the chains. So it is quite incredible what they've managed to create there. Outside of that, Masari, I think, are really good for the in-depth research that they do, and they've got some good history on some projects. Nansen, of course, I feel like they're just at the top of the game. Token Terminal is good for looking at protocol revenue and that sort of thing. And DeFi Llama for TVL, so locked, and CoinMarketCap for events and that sort of thing. The thing is that they're all, one of the things that I'm trying to do here as well, all of these tools are all over the place, and I really do, like I say, I kind of want to bring a lot of this stuff into a single dashboard or some way to build, more integrated insights. So these are all excellent tools, but I would love to have, for example, Token Sniffer integrated into Moonfactor. So, if you're messing around with a particular project, researching a contract or whatever, then we've already got, evaluations on that contract itself, so you can see potential problems. I think that's it. I can't think of any other tools that I really use. I'd say that's probably it.
No, I think that was really That was very thorough. I think you did a really good job of going over all the different tools that are being used to analyze different cryptocurrencies. My next question is, on our previous call, you had mentioned that you've had a lot of great streaks as far as trading is concerned. Obviously, microcap trading takes a lot more due diligence, a lot more patience, and a lot more risk. So I was curious, when you made it to the top at, I think you told me you sold somewhere in the 60K region of BTC. What were some of the key identifying factors that made you realize that for you was the top, or what gave you those inklings? Because a lot of people are always trying to spot the top. Everyone is always trying to spot the bottom. I'm sure a lot of luck went into it, but still, for our viewers, I think anybody who's dealing with the bear market, what were some of those features that you saw in the market?
Hysteria, maybe. Yeah, just people buying anything and everything, and yeah, that kind of thing. I have my eye on Twitter and some excellent Twitter accounts which I can share later or whatever. And I listen to a lot of these accounts and what they're saying, and I remember around that time a lot of people were saying this is the top and blah blah blah, and they're giving their reasons, and I didn't take it that seriously. But when I saw Bitcoin go from 69K to 60K or whatever, then I thought, right, to me, that's a decline. Okay, that's an obvious decline.
Right.
And all I've learned from the past is that, well, let's wait for a confirmation on a reversal. That's it. And I've been waiting for a confirmation ever since. So I never saw that reversal come. It just went from 69K to 6K, and it just kept going down, down, down. Maybe there was a few small like fake outs or whatever, but there was never that confirmation. That never happened. So when it went down from 69 to 60, that's when I thought, right, I'm going to sideline a little bit just in case, because I definitely want the opportunity to buy lower. And that was it. I was just waiting for more strength, and it just got weaker and weaker. So I was kind of lucky in that sense, but I also was following some great people on Twitter that did give plenty of warnings about this as it was happening. But again, it's difficult to know who to even listen to, really, because there's so much noise.
Yeah, no, it's definitely difficult to sift through all that information. Out of curiosity, I gotta know, what are some of these Twitter accounts, and when was the time that you started seeing all these tweets? I'm guessing this was around late November.
Yeah, exactly. It was mid. I even remember, actually. I think it was maybe even mid-October or something, around the beginning of October, and there was a lot of talk around the market potentially topping out at the end of October or even mid-November, and I'm quite astonished as well by some of these predictions that were right. But that's when I started to feel a bit on edge, like, oh, okay, maybe this is getting a bit ridiculous. And at the same time, obviously, people are just pouring, the life savings into shit coins and just ridiculous NFTs and stuff. And it's like, yeah, this is hysteria at the moment. It was crazy. That's it. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some specific accounts. Good to Great is a good one on Twitter. I think he's been around for a while. He may have mentioned a few things. And there's an excellent trader. I forgot his name though. I'll have to try to get his name.
Feel free as we're discussing, if you suddenly like, oh yeah, I remember, just go ahead. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of great accounts, and to follow. For me, one of the ideologies I've always stuck with is try to listen to people that you agree with and disagree with. I think doing that helps you sift. And even though we're degens for a brighter future, and this might be an odd thing for a degen like myself to say, but listen to the maximalist too. I mean, it's amazing how many brilliant minds are within the maximalist community. There were people calling out Luna for to depeg with UST a long time ago, and using very, very descriptive information to come to that conclusion. And there's some really intelligent minds in that space. It doesn't mean you don't have to be interested in altcoins, but there's brilliant minds that are out there. You should definitely dig through. I wanted a little bit to steer into a different direction. What are your thoughts on the current market? Are you DCAing? And do you have an idea of when you would possibly DCA?
Yeah, I saw a post on this on Twitter recently. a few were discussing crypto engineer. That's another a great Twitter account who's discussing DCA strategies in a bear market and how maybe that isn't the most profitable thing to do. And there's a guy, I can't remember his first name, Sebastian Purcell, I think is a great crypto writer and investor and a bubble trader, he calls himself. And he talks about crash cost averaging. And I very much prefer that, I would say, over DCA, in that you are waiting for just further crashes. So if the market starts going sideways, you don't just, DCA on a certain time schedule or whatever. You're waiting for further crashes to put more money in. So that is essentially what I would do at the moment. So if it starts going sideways, I would just let it go sideways forever. I don't care if it goes down. That's when I would start buying more. And then if it goes up, then you can switch to a DCA. And I think that's what was going on in this discussion, that DCA is a great strategy as the market's starting to climb. If it's just going down and it's crashing, it's not necessarily the best strategy. So for me, I do DCA a little bit, but it's not on any timed kind of, it's not a strict kind of schedule that I have. I just see, as the market just keeps declining, I just start putting a little bit more into the projects that I'm following.
Yeah, and that could also be, I think, something that a lot of people forget too, and not that I recommend doing this, but volatility is also a great environment to be trading. Like if you suddenly see, like today, I think ETH went a little over 700 and then it bounced back to like 1,000. So, I mean, if you were to do a quick scalp trade, you could have done that as well. Not financial advice, but I think also one of the main factors, I know as we're filming this or streaming this, we are in the midst of a bear market and quantitative tightening. How have you kind of steered your view on the market during the bear market? What do you think is going on?
Well, I mean, it's funny you should mention maximalists because as like the blood just spreads, it has had me thinking, wow, maybe the BTC maximalists were right. Like the whole thing, everything else is just a Ponzi, But I don't know. I mean, I think it's difficult. I think we need this, as a lot of people said, we need this kind of washout. There's a lot of weakness and there's a lot of weak money and there's a lot of weak hands that need to be flushed out. And I'm just excited to see what actually stands when the dust settles, really. I don't, I think I said on the last call, I'm eternally optimistic about this whole space over the long term. Over the short term, I may not be very optimistic, but I really don't think the short term matters that much. So I'm happy to just, I've got the patience to wait if it takes years for us to build this. Because we are essentially building infrastructure here and we're experimenting with different services, different financial services. It's all kind of up in the air. I don't think we know, really what we're doing at the moment. And I think as these technologies and services mature, we'll be in a far more, fundamentally strong position.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you completely. Everything this technology has accomplished in such a small amount of time is a testament to itself. I think the interesting thing that we're seeing is this deleveraging, or the great deleveraging. That's what I've been calling it. I find it so funny that awful, obviously, because this is people's money on the line, but that 3 Hours Capital, Celsius, and potentially other centralized platforms or lending platforms have essentially been taking really high risk strategies with other people's money in order to get them yield and also to scalp a profit on top of that. I think that it shows that there might be room to possibly bring in some kind of regulation. Though on the other hand, what it also shows is how powerful DeFi is. Because on the other hand, sure, Celsius is on the verge of possible liquidation of their Bitcoin position on MakerDAO. But at the same time, it's not like they can pick up the phone and Alex Mashinsky can be like, come on, MakerDAO, please give us a break. That can't happen because of how powerful the code is. That it says, look, we have the asset, we've given you a loan, you're going to be liquidated if it hits a certain price, and there's nothing you can do about it. So on the other hand, I think it highlights the strength and the testament of DeFi itself, but also more importantly, Ethereum's DeFi ecosystem. So what are your thoughts on everything going on with Celsius and 3 Hours Capital and maybe Ethereum's DeFi ecosystem? Sometimes I talk way too much, but yeah.
Well, to be honest, I've not been following them that deeply. I do agree that this is a great testament to the strength of what are smart contracts, really. I mean, it's programmatic, it's set in code, and it's publicly viewable. Before you would get involved in any of these contracts, you can view them yourselves. You can see exactly what's going on with them. Obviously, if you're not technical minded, you might need somebody to give insight on that. But yeah, it's all there, and it is testament to the strength of it. I don't know. I just think it's very unfortunate what's going on with a few of these platforms and services just going down in flames. What looks like.
Yeah, I mean, my heart goes out to all the people who lent out their capital to do that. And I think also what I really like to emphasize here is that we should all be more skeptical. Like, definitely when the market was green, there were a lot of projects offering unrealistic yield, and whether that's possible or not, you should at least read the white paper. Try to understand how Uniswap can offer stable yield, or how Bancor can offer USDC at 7%. Like, it's important you try to understand these yields, why they're realistic, how they're distributing revenue across. I think a really interesting point that this brings up too is that this is actually a contagion from Luna and UST, right? That all these people and institutions had positions of UST and Anchor, or they were staking their ETH, taking staked ETH, or staked Luna, or staked AVAX because it was also on AVAX, and we're bringing it into Anchor so they could use that as collateral. I think that what this really begs the question about is how we should be identifying what is decentralized and what is not. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I feel like we're in quite a painful transition at the moment, in that we have this alternative system that we're trying to build, but it's not. The dream is full decentralization, I would think, but we're not there. We're absolutely not there, because we are still having to integrate this whole thing with the current system that we work within, which is very much centralized. And even if we've got decentralized, blockchains and smart contracts and all that, which is great, we don't have, for example, decentralized hosting that we're using, at least anyway. We've got decentralized file systems, but we don't use them in terms of the applications that we build on top of these blockchains. A lot of these Web3 platforms are not decentralized whatsoever. They're hosted on servers that people rent. They don't work the same as blockchains. And we're not using decentralized databases. They have their own, databases, and they very much own that data, and that's private. And so I feel like we are very much in just a transition. That's the way I see it. It's a very transitory kind of process, and it is painful, and it will be, naturally. So yeah, I don't believe always when people say decentralization. I think you need to look a little deeper into it and start to understand where that line actually is right now.
Yes, I totally agree. Hey, Gio, do you have something you'd like to add to that? Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. No, there's a lot I can say. There's a lot of good points there. I definitely do think decentralization, maybe it's a spectrum. When we saw Terra Luna collapse, granted, I think a lot of people were able to take their funds out, but within a few days, the validators closed down. They closed down the blockchain. What type of decentralization is that, right? And I think in their white paper too, they said, okay, we're going to start out with having a CEO, and then with time, we're going to let the protocol do its own thing. I don't know. In my personal opinion, I think Bitcoin is truly the only decentralized cryptocurrency out there. I think a lot of others are Dino, decentralized in name only. I don't want to venture too far off topic. Not sure where else the conversation was going to go, but I did want to ask you, Damien, a question. I know you were talking a little about DCA strategy a little while back. What are some top projects you really have faith going on into the next few years? And what do you kind of want your portfolio to look like?
One thing that I've tried to do with Moon Factor is not shill any particular project.
Okay.
And to me, that is really kind of an integrity thing for me, because then nobody at any point can turn around and say, hey, you shilled this scam, or you shilled this and it was shit, and whatever. So yeah, as much as I do have a few projects that I have my eyes on, I don't like to mention any specifics. So I'm very much someone who says, you know what, you've got to use the tools. You've got to figure this out, and you just got to go, and if I can build tools that move you in the direction of these quality projects, then great. So I won't mention any specific projects. And another reason I won't as well is because the ones that I have my eyes on are very low market cap and absolutely are very easy to manipulate. So when you have audiences or anything like that, that's another stage I feel like you need to be very careful of, because the amount of times I've seen it on Twitter where someone has said, yeah, this is a great project, and it's 500k market cap, 1 million market cap, and it's just pumped, and then a bunch of their followers have just dumped on others, and it's just a mess. I feel like it's not even worth mentioning them. So the ones that I am in at the moment, yeah, are around 1 million to 10 million market cap. I'm very much just trying to see which teams are still working and are still committed throughout this whole thing, regardless of the market conditions. And those are the teams that I'm kind of DCAing and just continue to buy regardless of whether they're going down or not.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Great. Sorry, that's very interesting. You said 1 million or like a half a million to like 10 million. I think there's just so many crypto investors that are not kind of doing that. I think like the majority of crypto investors are kind of like top 100, top 200. I think most investors would probably get wrecked kind of doing what you're doing, like you said.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that's like great. That's what what Moon Factor is for, to kind of look at lower cap cryptocurrencies. Now, I know obviously we're very bullish on the space with like blockchain technology, but basically what you're saying is you have the highest risk appetite and you're in the space, you might as well try to go for the lower cap cryptocurrencies, and shoot your shot. Is that kind of your thesis? Or
yeah, in a way, yeah. Like the whole idea with Moon Factor is that it's it was moonshots originally. That's what kind of got me captivated with crypto. It was like, what, this can happen, things can just go 10x or 100x or 1000x, and to actually see the history of it on CoinGecko in black and white, or red and green or whatever, it was quite astonishing to think that this is actually possible. So yeah, that's very much why I started the whole thing. The reason it was called Moon Factor is because I'm looking for those projects that have this factor that makes them go to the moon or whatever, that causes these 10x's and 100x's. And the one place I feel that you've got to start for that is in the very low market cap range, because the more mature projects, they've already done that. To me, that's already too late. And in actual fact, I have, I'm almost ignorant to anything that's above 30 or 50 mil market cap. Like, it just doesn't even hit my radar hardly. There's no interest at all.
Wow.
It's a strange kind of attitude that I have with it. Yeah, it is. Because I'm looking for stuff that's going to blow up. Your time.
Yeah, it's not worth your time.
I'm looking for stuff that is going to potentially blow up,
wow,
in the future. Yeah.
Damian, I don't know if I will meet a greater Degen than you. You're up there.
I'm committed to the cause. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. No, and it's amazing, because the thing I like about what you're doing is, like, I hope someone comes on this and sees like, oh, okay, that's what that application does. And, this is a really normal guy, that, has put this work in, and anyone could do this strategy. Not that I recommend it, extremely risky, but
it is.
But it can be done with your due diligence, doing your research, and also all those different applications that you had referenced are all very reputable sources. I think one of the, going back into decentralization, I think one of the interesting topics we discussed, I think is this really unique issue where there's so many cryptocurrencies, and some, I think that there's this fine line with a commodity and a security. We kind of went over that, and I was curious if what you were thinking. Like, does this have to be? Is it still possible to create a decentralized cryptocurrency if there's large investors involved who own most of these tokens, or is it only going to be decentralized when they've vested all of their stake, or is it about turning, if the blockchain can be turned on and off? What's your thought on it?
Yeah, I think technologically it's decentralized. But yeah, when you've got like large groups of people in control of these blockchains, then they're not really organizationally decentralized. So I think that's one of the distinctions that you need to make there. The blockchain itself can be decentralized, but the people in control of it can just ruin kind of that decentralization. It's like a facade almost. It's you do have to be really careful with that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's another factor that needs to go, see what I did there, factor into your research, into the mood factor, if you will. I think kind of what we're seeing is the outlier of projects that are decentralized. I did want to mention to Gio that Bitcoin is extremely decentralized, and at least based on my research, it looks like a project like Monero is extremely decentralized as well. You could even turn basically any computer, including super dirt cheap ones, into a miner quite easily. Not that I recommend doing that, not financial advice, but it can be done. But I think now the next thing I wanted to talk about, we're seeing a lot of countries adopt Bitcoin. I know you said that anything above a certain market cap is not in your radar, but it affects, what goes on with Bitcoin affects other cryptocurrency. What are your thoughts, and maybe how does it affect your strategy when other countries are starting to adopt Bitcoin? Does it make you more bullish in the long term?
Yeah, absolutely. I think without El Salvador, without their adoption, I wouldn't be as bullish internationally. I think it's just a great vote for the system. The fact that a country can use it, and it stands up to that test is incredible, really. And I do find it very bullish, and I'm looking forward to more and more countries adopting it. So and as you say, that does affect, regardless of where, what I'm looking at in terms of what I'm willing to invest into, that does affect very much the lower caps and, what's going on the macro level, or what's going on with these more mature projects. And that's definitely something else that I do take into account at the same time. Unfortunately, a lot of the market just follows Bitcoin. It's like Bitcoin is the gauge, almost, the sentiment gauge for crypto. If Bitcoin's going down, then people are losing faith in the whole of crypto, it seems, because everything else just follows Bitcoin.
Do you think it affects sorry, go on.
No, go on.
I was going to ask you, so with these microcaps too, and with the movement of Bitcoin, do you think that this also creates a lot of challenges in the liquidity of a lot of these projects getting in and out?
Yeah. I mean, one of the major challenges in the lower caps is a liquidity problem, because you can't, and this is the other thing, I feel like it's a strategy that only works for a certain group of people and for a certain portfolio as well, a certain portfolio size, because people who have like millions in a portfolio or whatever, and they're investing into crypto, they're not going to get very far in the low market caps, because they can't, for one, there isn't the liquidity there for them to even obtain these tokens without, causing massive price spikes and dumps and whatever when they move about. These are like the whales that are just too big for it. So I do feel like it's trading in the lower caps is very much for smaller portfolios, and then when you start hitting a liquidity problem because your portfolio maybe has got to a certain stage where it just doesn't make sense, there isn't the liquidity there, then you do kind of have to graduate and move up to the bigger caps. I do feel that's something else to take into consideration.
Absolutely. And I think with this unwinding too and deleveraging, it's going to affect the entire market, because there's going to be a ton of liquidity that leaves, a lot of these platforms. At the moment, it looks like the vast majority of it is in Ethereum, thank goodness, and Binance Smart Chain. And I'm curious to see what happens with Binance Smart Chain as well, especially since the SEC is going after them. So let me see. Oh yeah, you were going to say?
No, I was just...
Damien, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so it seems like you're kind of the shitcoin aficionado here. No, I'm kidding. So I mean, obviously, with the smaller cap coins from 500K to, let's say, 30 million or something, Now, what's the spread you typically see there, like kind of pumping up, like kind of hype plays versus like real projects that actually do want to build? And I know obviously you have Moon Factor and whatnot, and I know you mentioned a few sites. How can you really differentiate that this is a legit project, it's a legit team? They're just happen to be building in a bear market. And also, I know we've been falling down since November, and it obviously hasn't been a complete straight shot down. I mean, obviously recently it has been from 30K to 20K. Have you seen like any big gains recently within the last 1 or 2 months where you've kind of had like a successful launch and everything? Or I know that's kind of a lot of questions, but
yeah, I mean, pretty much any day that I go onto Moon Factor during this bear market, it's been green, and the reason is because it's top gainers of the market caps from 100K to 30 million, with at least 20,000 volume 24-hour, which is just, these are like very, very small numbers. But it is pretty much green all of the time, every day. It doesn't, even today, you know, Bitcoin's just crashed again a bit, and it's still green on there. So the opportunity is definitely, there's launches going on, and there's people that are still making a lot of money on these launches. In terms of which projects are just, you know, hot air and which ones actually have something behind them, is very difficult. You know, when I was tracking Binance Smart Chain, there was times on PancakeSwap where 3,000 tokens were released every day. You know, we're talking like almost 100,000 a month for a good few months. And probably like 99% of them were just dead within a week of being released. So it was literally just pump and dump, just over and over again. There's very few that actually have genuine teams behind them that are committed to building something over the long term. I feel like a lot of it is just a cash grab. And you can see this as we went into the bear. So many teams just, you know, they backed off, and it was like, you know, it's shit. It's the way it is, because the money started drying up. And it's like, it's put a lot of things into perspective, I think. So what I look for is basically, are the Telegrams still active? Are the admins still on there? Are the developers reachable? Have they got a good quality website? Do they have, you know, some kind of competitive advantage? Are they actually building something useful? Is there some kind of revenue or business model that isn't just parasitic to crypto? So it's not just trying to flush people's money through their system. Is it producing some value outside of crypto? Is there some kind of revenue or potential income from other places? You know, that's why I love blockchain applied to different industries, like the health industry, for example. There's just all different kinds of applications there. But that's generally what I look for.
great, thank you.
I might have to make that a clip. That was awesome. Very particular. I like that a lot. The next thing I was gonna ask you about too is, you know, for me, the big thing that I like in cryptocurrency is this concept of self-custody and sovereign money. You know, out of curiosity, what's your take on self-custody?
I'm a big believer in that from the beginning. I think that was like, I tend to listen to things that are repeated over and over again, like you know, principles that keep coming up and that sort of thing. And one thing that kept coming up when I first got into crypto was the saying, "Not your keys, not your crypto." So, you know, after I heard that a certain amount of times, it was like, well, you know, I should probably take that seriously. There's a reason people keep saying this. And that was the reason, you know, because they were saying it's more important to have the self-custody than to just give this power away. Again, the whole point of this is that we have self-custody, to just give this power away to another, you know, entity that's going to manage it for you and, you know, potentially mismanage it. So yeah, I'm a very big believer in self-custody. I got a cold wallet from the start. I kept everything on that from the start. Mm-hmm. If I ever put my crypto into anything else that I didn't control, I considered that gone from that day that I put it in there. I didn't consider that mine. As soon as I put it somewhere else in a centralized or a virtual wallet or anything like that, I consider it temporary. It's probably gone. Extremely high risk. That's it. The only crypto that I actually own is in my wallet, in my cold wallet.
Oh, wow. That must be an interesting cold wallet for all those microcaps.
Yeah, that's it. I think, I don't know how many tokens I've bloody got in there now. Yeah, I've probably got about 80 plus tokens in there.
Wow. No, that's fun. Definitely. The other thing I was hoping you could elaborate on, I'm sorry, I should have asked this earlier. I was hoping you could tell us about the features that you included, because you can connect your MetaMask to the site and you can engage in a
Yeah.
chat
Well, if
with an
you
anonymous
want,
name.
yeah. I was just going to say, if you want, I can actually stream the site and just show you what it's like when you are signed in.
Yes, I actually have it, so that way you can share your screen.
Is that possible? Yeah.
Yeah. Just hit the green icon.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Let me see.
Perfect. So yeah, give us
that
a little
working?
taste of
Yeah.
it.
Cool. Okay. Right. So this is connect. Okay, I'm going to connect to. You can't. Hope you've not got a keylogger. Obviously.
I think to your point earlier, it's crazy that there's been some. I don't know what block sport is, but it's up 145%. It's wild.
What's up? 145. Oh, this thing here. Yeah. Yeah. As I say, it doesn't matter what day we're on and what's going on in the market. This page is usually green. I've not seen this page red in the last 15 months. So yeah, if that does ever happen, just know that that is a terrible day. 7, 4, 5.
Wow.
So yeah, it's sorted by the 24-hour gainers. You can of course change that to 7-day and 30 days, so you can see. You'll probably see higher gains here. Oh, wait a minute.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Like, if you're willing to dig in there and try to find something valuable, it could really work out.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's still quite low, that though, 273. I'd expect something bigger there. But yes, okay, so one thing that I wanted to do was make it really easy to skim these projects and find out what's going on before you decide to go any further. So you can expand each of these to get descriptions on the project. These descriptions are coming from CoinGecko, so they're quite reliable. This is what the projects want people to know about. This is their, sale, let's say. And you can go straight to their website, which is another thing that I would definitely want to check out. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff there. What I wanted to do in the future was start to scrape all of these websites and pull in, for example, there's a bunch of other useful links that aren't on here or CoinGecko, which I can pull automatically. YouTube is one, and LinkedIn profiles, which I wanted to do, because I would love on here to have some kind of indication of, hey, yeah, this is associated to these LinkedIn profiles, and even, how old are these LinkedIn profiles? Because if they're, a month old or 2 months old, I'm probably not interested in that project. But if that's
right,
if that's associated to LinkedIn profiles that are years old, that have, potentially by people who have years of experience in related technology or whatever, that's a great potential project. So yeah, I would love to do that. So yeah, you can expand this, you can see the descriptions, and then if you click social, there's an embedded Twitter timeline. So you can just go through their Twitter like quite quickly and see if there's anything of interest there. Sometimes you see like staking and just general news of what's going on with it. And that's it. And then I could just move on to the next one and move on to the next one. I just keep doing that until I find something that I feel is quite interesting. The links are really important, I think, because I'm trying to build up a profile where you can go to many other sites to get even more information, to dig even deeper. Obviously, CoinGecko is number one there. Dex Screener is a great one for trading on some of the decentralized exchanges that these are featured on. They're not all on decentralized exchanges. And then, obviously Twitter, Telegram, Reddit. So I would jump to Telegram. I would check out their chat and groups and see what the communication is like, see what the sentiment is like, see if people's questions are being answered, all that kind of thing. There's a lot that can be done here. I think that it's difficult to decide what to do as well. It's difficult to prioritize what is really important, because it is a challenge, to evaluate these lower cap coins. It's
right.
There's not much to go on.
No, of course. And there's obviously, once again, just want to say, a massive risk in going into all of these. But it's incredible that you can pull up all this information so quickly, and moving towards LinkedIn profiles and so much more, I think is going to be, that's actually huge. That's going to be very helpful for anyone that has a higher risk appetite, for sure. So
Yeah.
so when you're logged into your MetaMask here, you're able to go quickly into Uniswap or say PancakeSwap or whatever exchange these are on to like get to these coins if you so choose.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole idea. I didn't want to create like a kind of walled garden, I think it's called, where I'm trying to keep everybody on MoonFactor as soon as they get here. I see a lot of other applications do that. As soon as you're there, like everything is on their site and they're trying to do everything they can to keep you there. Whereas MoonFactor, I really wanted it to be a kind of launch pad for your research. So this is a great jumping off point looking into these different projects. And it should be noted that absolutely, even though there's a bias, MoonFactor isn't ignoring all of the high projects. I can get rid of that market cap. Actually, I'll keep the.
Oh, that's awesome. So you can look at the higher.
I can get rid of the higher end. Yeah, I can get rid of the higher end there, so it's all of them. And then you'll see much bigger. Like if I sort by, even the default sort is lower market cap as well. So yeah, it's like there's a bias towards lower market caps, but it's not necessarily the whole story. Quite happy for you to explore all of the higher market caps as well.
Wow. No, I mean, this is an excellent tool. I'm gonna have to play around with this. Very cool. Let's see.
I mean, there you can see in the higher ones, there's a lot of red.
Yeah, there's definitely a beating going on. Out of curiosity, within the rest of the year, where do you think we're going from here?
I think short term, there's probably more downside, I would suspect.
Do you mind if you could stop sharing your screen?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry about that. Here we go.
That's okay.
You were saying?
Yeah, I think there's probably a bit more downside I would expect. I think there's just a lot going on, right, with the macro conditions and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of uncertainty.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I'm very concerned with quantitative tightening, rates going up. Gio, I was hoping you could elaborate on your end. I know the real estate market is something you have expertise in. What do you think is going to be going on going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all interrelated, right? I mean, with the Fed increasing the rates, right? I think it's a lot of buyers don't like that. I think this past month, there's been the lease mortgages given out. I just think people just aren't interested in buying homes. I mean, they don't want to pay 6, 7, or 5% now versus up until a year or two ago it was like 2, 3%, right? And it's probably going to get worse. You know, we could expect even higher. I think just because the demand isn't going to be there doesn't necessarily mean that prices should fall down immediately. I think they should over time. The supply doesn't seem like it's going to be getting better as well because builders aren't going to be building houses unless the people foreclose on their homes, which might take some time. So we'll see. I mean, I know this isn't really a real estate, let's say, show, but I do want to ask Damien. I know he can't specifically ask talk about any different projects, but what do you think would be some strategies for trading different for different lower cap coins? I mean, what would you recommend? Like percentage of portfolio? Would you recommend like 0.5% or even like 1% of somebody's portfolio, or even like let's say something? Let's say I pop up and I see something I like. I don't know. I have $10,000. You know, do I just throw $100 in each and every coin that pops up on your site, or like what do I do?
Yeah, can I say 100% of your portfolio?
Yeah, seriously. And I've done that before. I was talking to Jorge. I did it about 4 or 5 times, and I got lucky. And then the 6th time, I didn't get so lucky. But no.
Right. I think the game is it depends when you're investing in the cycle. I think that is one of the most important things. During the bull market and bull runs and that sort of thing, it was really easy to catch some great low market cap stuff that took off that didn't need anything, you know, but a couple of people behind it. And I had a good 8, probably like 7 or 8, 10x's during that bull market from these low market cap coins. What I didn't realize at the time is that was so easy because of the bull market and the bull runs, and there was just money flying everywhere. So yeah, the game has certainly changed now that we've hit this bear market, and you've got to be a lot more careful about what you put your money into. This, it's difficult to say what you could, because of the risk. Like there really is a tremendous amount of risk here. There's a lot of projects that, even 2 projects, I won't name them, of course, that I was watching for a good 6 to 12 months, and I believed in them a lot. And then during this bear market, they just receded massively. The development started slowing down, and it's like my gauge was kind of off there. So there's still, I'm still learning there as well. I wouldn't have expected that to happen. I really did think those teams were committed for the long term, and they were really onto something. One of the things that you have to be really careful with is that these teams are generally very small as well. So the speed at which they move at, for development wise, might not be very quick compared to a lot of the more mature projects that have got, dozens of people working on it. Some of these projects have got 2 or 3 people, maybe even just 1 developer, and it can move quite slowly. So it takes a lot of patience. The most important thing for me is just good communication with the team members, because that's something that you generally can't get on bigger projects. You can't talk to the CEO or whoever's or the founders or whatever. They're just not reachable. Whereas on these smaller caps, they generally are reachable in real time over Telegram. So absolutely take advantage of that. The other thing as well, I would say, is to watch out for cash grabs. There's a few projects I invested into primarily because they didn't just release a token. They had this whole thing going on. I think one of them was on Reddit 3 months before they released a token. They were talking about formation of the company and all that kind of stuff. Then they released a token, and I only found out about that actually on Moonfactor on the Pair Explorer, and then found their Twitter, and then found this history on Reddit. And I thought, right, well, they're obviously not just trying to take money, as quickly as they can. They're not just creating the token to just pull this money in. They're doing this properly. They'd spent months, planning this before they even released it. And I quite like projects like that very much. If they've got a Twitter history that goes back way before they've released anything, then yeah, that's a big plus for me. But yeah, there's so many different indicators. I think it's putting them all together is the real challenge.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was kind of asking you an earlier question. It's just I know the market's been down. I just think the interest isn't there. We went from a 3 trillion market cap total. Now we're less than 1 trillion in the space. I just think there's a lot less retail, obviously. And I think, like you said, it's you can pick anything when it's a bull market and it's up and up and up, And I think Jorge did kind of ask you a question, where do you think we're going in the year? I think personally, we could be flat or even a little bit more down for a time, at least the next month or 2, as long as the interest is the inflation is still at 8% or around there. If it's not getting any better, not looking so good. I think everybody's expecting this into September, October, November. They're gonna need to pump the market up a little bit just for the election. But we still might not be in a good situation by then either. I think people don't really understand this. We might be here up until next year. I don't think that's out of the question. So if you put the money printed on for 2 years, we can expect at least a year or 2 of a down market, right? So
yeah,
I think it's going to be very difficult to see upside in the near term. Realistically, I think the price of petroleum will still remain high unless we see the eventual communication with Saudi Arabia, Russia, Ukraine, and possibly Venezuela, opening up the taps again, or maybe OPEC opening up the taps. It's definitely a rock and a hard place situation. And I'm not trying to be bearish or anything. Long term, I'm incredibly optimistic. And me personally, I'm DCAing, or whatever you want to call it, crash buying, and just accumulating. And I'm willing to wait for the projects that I have conviction in. Damien, I got one for you. Before we're kind of nearing the end of this chat, I wanted to ask you, for anyone that's new, maybe someone that's down, or anyone at all that has interest in the space, what would you tell them?
Big responsibility, that. DYOR, I would say. The most important thing in all of this, I feel, is that you understand it, yourself, that you are not deferring your opinions and your thoughts to other people, because frankly, you can't trust other people in the space at the moment. You have to learn how to do your own research. You have to learn how to evaluate these different projects, how to work out the risk involved. And obviously that has to make sense to your own risk tolerance and your own portfolio and whatever else. I just feel like that's the most important thing. Learning, education, absolutely, and research.
Well said. I couldn't have said it better myself. Hey, Damien, I just wanted to say I'm extremely grateful that you took the time.
Hey,
Gio.
let me just ask one more quick question.
Oh, okay. We got one more.
Before we can, let him go. Damien, I know you're a very low cap investor, and great. That's a great talent. I think a lot of people, like I said, could not do what you do. So kudos to you. And I know I kind of asked you can't really talk about specific projects you might be holding, but do you have a section in your portfolio just for trading low caps? Do you have, like, let's say, I think you could probably say, if you do have a Bitcoin position that you'll never sell, do you have a position where you're kind of doing a little bit of leverage trading? Is that something you can touch upon, or?
I mean, when I originally got into crypto, I did leverage trading and lost it all very quickly. So
wow,
it's really that's frustrating. I lost it all on Binance leveraged futures. I think it was just doing stupid things. And in fact, it was around the time that the COVID crash happened. I can't believe it. Such bad timing, because it was like unbelievable. It was unprecedented, and I just started leverage trading at an unprecedented time. So yeah, I was very bullish about crypto when I found it, and then it just went down. It was horrible. I lost it and then didn't come back to crypto, I think, for probably 12 months while I was licking my wounds. And I wish I'd just bought bloody Ethereum. Like there's a lot of times where I think if I just bought Ethereum at that time and left it and not traded at all, I could have in one trade made everything that I made in the thousands of trades, since.
Wow.
Really, just because of how much Ethereum did actually go through the roof at one time, from what it was like $150, I think I first saw it at, to almost $4,000. But as for now, no, I don't have much in Ethereum. I don't have much in Bitcoin. I don't have much in any big projects. I think my
mostly in cash. Mostly in cash. So you're just mostly in cash, and then you're just trying to focus on smaller cap projects that you think could have a potential to 2, 3x, 5x, obviously more. Kind of is what your thesis is.
Yeah, very much. And one of the main reasons as well is because if I'm building this website, then I need to build something that is useful for that particular strategy anyway, if that's the whole idea of it. So I do feel like it does pay for me to be involved in that heavily as well.
All right, so I'm going to ask one final question, and maybe we can let you go on this. Jorge has something. So what's your wallet address so I can follow it? I can copy trade you.
It's on, in fact, you can find it if you look for moonfactor.eth.
Okay.
That's so you'll know that that's mine, because it's the same name. In fact.
All right, hey.
Then that's my wallet.
That's all the.
But yeah, it's not a. It's not a huge wallet. Yeah. So what I've done is taken it from, I think, low 4 figures or something to like low 5 figures, and then I had to pull out a lot of it because I had this big expense. So now it's gone all the way back down again. So I've got this challenge again of, hey, can I multiply that, like I did before? So I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that I can do it again.
Okay, just keep doubling, like you said. Just put 100% of your portfolio on a good coin you believe in, and it keeps doubling, right?
Yeah. I mean, I did at times. I over diversified a lot, and I have learned not to do that so much. So I think I like to spread it now over probably 5 to 10 coins, and that's it. That's kind of my limit there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good investment advice. I think for a lot of people too. I think we're all just kind of figure out what our risk assessment is. I think obviously for you, like you said, lower caps. I think most people would probably be within the top 50 to top 100 right now, especially if you're playing with like $5,000 to $10,000, and you want to do 3, 4, 5x easy. Let's say if you just hold over the next year or two. Let's say, anyhow.
Yeah, and the other thing is as well is when I'm playing with some of these low caps, I'm not necessarily thinking about a long-term hold. One of the reasons is, like, if I had done that, that would have been a terrible strategy over the last year. It would have just gone up, come back down, like it has for a lot of people. It's done, for my friends as well. And I'd feel like I'm much more on the side of trader than investor at the moment, especially during these uncertain times. So if something goes up, I'm absolutely taking profits at the first chance I get. So I'm not necessarily just in these for the long term.
I think there's a lot of people too. It's like, they kind of shun you for some people. Like, I'm almost 100% in cash as well. They kind of shun people like us, be like, hey, like, you got to hold your investment down. It's like, well, not necessarily. If I have a feeling the market's going to go down, why would I hold it? Anywho, but
capital preservation, yeah.
100%, yeah.
Absolutely. I think I forget her name. Layla on Twitter said it best. Your money, your fiat is guaranteed to go down. Guaranteed. Your Bitcoin will go back up. So I'm just throwing that out there. Low risk. Nothing wrong with just buying Bitcoin. Maybe going into ETH. But microcaps are a great option too. Well, if you're high risk. But with that, oh man, I think I swallowed a bug.
Is there a frog in there or what?
Man, there's so much I want to get into. However, Damien, I just wanted to say I really appreciate your time. I really hope people take the time to look at the Moon Factor. That's an excellent application. Lots of phenomenal information. You're super talented software engineer. Really appreciate that big old brain ears. And I look forward to hopefully having you back with us again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it would be great. Thank you.
And guess what? I have an outro song too. And I want to maybe play that. Oh yeah, I got outro songs. Look at that. High quality Hollywood production. Hopefully, can everyone hear it? There you go. See?
Welcome to Degen's
Yeah.
brighter future.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Like, subscribe, follow us, check out Moon Factor on Twitter for more. And I hope you guys degen safely. See you guys around.